Making original silky smooth Levantine hummus. Start long but not too long before you even look at a blender. Whether you want to or not, you need to make real hummus with freshly hydrated chickpeas, also called garbanzo. Tinned and pre-cooked chickpeas will work, but you're leaving half the texture and all the flavor out in the universe instead of inside you. You start by soaking the chickpeas in a large amount of water. I like to add a little touch of baking soda at this stage to give us a kickstart. Soak your chickpeas for 6 hours or overnight at room temperature. The good news about this is that once they are soaked, you can freeze them and cook them whenever you need them, or simply forget about them until the end of days. But for now, we need 400 grams or 2 cups of these soaked chickpeas. Into a pot they go with 2 liters of water, or chicken stock to make them vegan, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 6 grams or a teaspoon of salt. Bring the chickpeas to a boil. Skim off the foam that gathers on the top, then turn them down to a slow simmer, and cook for about an hour until they are fully soft. During this time, check the water level. If the water cooks away too fast, top it up a bit. Letting them go dry and then burn will cause tears and problems. Both of those are easier avoided than dealing with them later. While they cook and you do or don't burn them, we prepare our secret ingredient, baked garlic. Even though raw garlic is classically used, baked garlic is way superior. And the only reason it's not classic is because whoever came up with this stuff didn't think of it. Into a piece of foil goes a whole head of garlic. Bake it in the oven at 160 degrees Celsius or 320 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. Let it cool down before either peeling each clove separately or simply squeezing out the soft garlic paste inside. You can make a big batch of the stuff, then freeze it in ice cube trays and use it in sauces, dressings, face creams, or however you fancy. Check on your garbanzos. Visually, you will see the skins separating, and if you test one, it should easily be squashed with your finger, without resistance or a dry, chalky center. If it's still raw, keep on cooking. The baking soda we added earlier softens the skins, so they will blend completely smooth, but only if you have a very powerful blender. For most home blenders, it's advised to peel them as much as you can, because if you blend them skin on, by the time your hummus is smooth, your blender will be on the way to the undertaker. Drain the chickpeas, but keep the water you cook them in to the side. This is part flavor, but more vitally an important part in creating the correct texture. Once drained, you embark on your peeling endeavor, for as long as you have patience. As you can see, I removed quite a lot, but some are still there, which is okay in this case, because my wife has a mid-level blender. Plus we're baking soda these twice to break down the skins easily, which means we'll get the results we want either way. Into a blender goes 400 grams or 2 cups of the cooked and peeled chickpeas. You will have some left over, which you can add to salads or freeze for another batch. Next, the baked garlic paste. 60 grams of lemon juice, or roughly 1 medium lemon's worth. 75 grams or a quarter cup of chickpea cooking liquid. For now, we might need a touch more later. And give it all a good blending. If it's too thick and it struggles to blend, add a touch more cooking liquid and scrape down the sides. You should end up with somewhat of a paste. It will not be smooth yet, which is exactly how it should be at this point. A little tip, it's better to do this recipe in 2 batches. If you use a tiny blender, overloading will cause severely elevated cortisol levels and dangerously high blood pressure. Next, we add the second most important ingredient in hummus, 200 grams or 3/4 cups of tahini, which is quite simply sesame paste. You get different types, but I like the blonde colored ones, which has a mild flavor and less bitterness. When you use it, make sure it's homogeneous and not split. When it sits long on the shelf, the solids and the oil separate, so make sure to give it a good mix before using. Once the tahini goes in, your blender will beg for mercy. If it struggles severely, add a touch more cooking liquid. Some people add ice, but the first hummus recipe dates back to the 13th century, when ice was quite scarce in Syria and Egypt. so you can guilt-free and confidently ignore the ice. The cooking liquid does the job way better. And once it's worked in, pay attention to the consistency. It should be spinning steadily, but the blender should by no means have an easy ride. It'll look quite smooth and turning a pale beige color. It should not be too stiff because it'll thicken as it cools. Give it a quick taste for salt and lemon balance. Add 30 grams or 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, as well as, to my taste, 6 grams or a teaspoon of salt. Blend for 2 more minutes until you have a fluffy, smooth, pale hummus. Let it cool down to room temperature if you want to serve it straight away. Hummus is quite an unpleasant experience when it's served fridge cold, but you can fridge it easily and simply warm it up a touch before serving it. Traditionally, it's served in a swirl much like this, which is, as you can see, quite a simple endeavor of scooping it onto a plate and turning the thing with a spoon pressed down into the middle. If you want, you can add some more cooked chickpeas into the middle, but I personally simply prefer a tiny bit more olive oil, a classic sprinkling of cayenne pepper, but most importantly, before you go and do all that, go live a happy life.